If the war is lost, the nation will also perish. This fate is inevitable. There is no necessity to take into consideration the basis which the people will need to continue a most primitive existence. On the contrary, it will be better to destroy things ourselves because this nation will have proved to be the weaker one. In the future will belong solely to the stronger Eastern nation. Besides, those who remain after the battle are only the inferior ones, for the good ones have been killed.
June 6th, 1944. A historic date in world history. Allied forces versus a very formidable enemy. Forces of Great Britain, Canada, the United States, helped out by other European nations tired of being subjected to Nazi rule, take on the once considered unbreachable defenses of the western coast, and prevailed. The Atlantic Wall has fallen, and the pathway to Paris and the end of the war is open. Immediately after the landings, battles commenced in the cities of Caen and Cherbourg to fully secure the beachheads and send the Germans running back to Paris. Cherbourg was especially vital to the Allies for its ports being used to bring in troops and armor. The battles themselves were not as quickly won compared to D-Day, with Cherbourg being bombarded by Allied naval forces on the 25th of June to destroy fortified enemy positions. The Battle of Cherbourg came to an end 5 days later on the 30th, and ending in Caen almost a week later on the 6th of August. With these cities in Allied control, the breakout from the region begins on its way to liberate France. Within a few weeks, Germans start experiencing harsh resistance from the Free French rebels starting on the 19th. 5 days later, on the 24th of August, Allied forces begin arriving in Paris, helping the rebels and forcing the Germans to withdraw. The very next day, the 25th, Paris is liberated. During this time, British and Canadian forces kept moving forward towards the Seine River, on the route to the northern city of Rouen. Forces cross the Seine into the city on the 30th and meet up with Southern forces on the 12th of September, beginning the drive to the final line between the Allies and the German fatherland, the Siegfried Line. As a last attempt to chase off the Allies in the west, Hitler launches his last major offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. Located in the Ardennes forest connecting to the border with Germany, the battle lasted over a month, ending on the 25th of January 1945. The Allies suffered over 90,000 casualties, along with over 700 tanks and over 1,000 aircraft. The Germans suffered up to 100,000 casualties, along with hundreds of tanks and aircraft lost. Along with military losses, around 3,000 civilians were also killed during the battle. 2 months after the Ardennes battle, the Western Allies crossed the Rhine. In April 1945, the Soviets began entering Berlin, starting the final battle of the European theater. Later in the month, on the 28th of April, former Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, along with others close to him, were captured and viciously executed. A few days later, on the 30th, Adolf Hitler, along with his recently proposed fiancée, Eva Braun, commit suicide as a way to avoid a similar fate as Mussolini. After losing their Führer, German forces across Europe begin to surrender, with the European theater of the war coming to an end on May 8, 1945, later to be called VE Day. Though the war in Europe had ended, another war raged on in the Pacific. The Japanese Empire, after waking the American war machine, stopped at nothing to deter their attacker, but ended up failing time and time again, with millions on both sides falling. and entire island populations resorting to mass suicide and martyrdom rather than surrendering. The US realized they had to do something other than invade the Japanese homeland. Instead of getting up to millions killed in a suicidal invasion, the US wanted something far more efficient, leading to the creation of one specific weapon. This weapon will become so deadly and so fearsome, its own development continues to shape our world to this very day.